The sci-fi setting is as diverse as anything around us. In the distant future or in galaxies a long time ago, there surely would be rugged deserts, ruined cities, shiny spaceship decking, jungles, swamps, sidewalks, roads. Anything goes, really. For my venture into sci-fi, rocket-fueled by the skirmish game Stargrave, I want bases that, to me, ooze sci-fi. And in my mind, that's not deserts or jungles. I want to go for a sense of the mechanical, machine-produced materials, slightly dystopian. Maybe the industrial slum sidewalks on a planet colony, or the wreckage of a crashed space freighter. I always enjoy making my own bases. I think they visually bind an army or a game together, but is also a way for me to put my own mark on the miniatures. The base is, after all, an extension of the miniature, an extension that can be used to express the ideas and concept of the whole. I also enjoy making a lot of them, rather efficiently. So I'm going for my preferred rolling pin method, a mesh rolling pin from Green Stuff World. By the way, this video is not sponsored by Green Stuff World, as it turns out I just have a lot of their stuff. Now, rolling pins, essentially, are like a stamp that you roll with pressure applied over a surface, leaving an imprint of, well, whatever it says on the rolling pin packaging. Rolling pins can be used on all kinds of clays and putties. My to-go at the moment is a half-and-half mixture of green stuff and Miliput. The green stuff is dense and flexible. The Miliput softens it a bit, to my eye rendering more precise details, but also makes everything a bit easier to work with. While working, I keep my rolling pin in a container of water with a bit of washing up liquid added, to help reduce surface tension. Water is your friend here, as long as you don't get it on the surface you want the putty mixture to stick to. Then it's just a simple procedure of flattening out a layer of putty on a base, all the way to the edges, as thin as possible and as flat as possible, and then roll with pressure put into it. For these bases, I'm looking for as many interesting details as possible, but also cross-sections in the rolling pin pattern. After I've cut off the excess putty around the edges with a sort of sawing motion to avoid messing up the pattern too much, I go in and remove with a knife some of the mesh. Sort of like this is a space sidewalk that ends, and then there's a slight drop in elevation where I later on can add space road or space dirt or space whatever. Using a sculpting tool, or according to Miscast Trent, you can just make your own from green stuff. I flatten down any irregularities in the pattern and just quickly clean things up a bit. As a side note, though, is to try and keep your rolling pin clean. No point ruining it, but, any residue will make the continued process more challenging. After these wonderful crashed spaceship streets are cured, I clean up the edges a bit. The small blobs of putty are really easy to remove, and then it's time for details. At some point, I bought these industrial-looking molds, also from Green Stuff World. I'm going to make myself some pipes and other details using these molds and some UV resin. This mainly because I don't have much future-looking bits around. But I mean, anything goes here, whatever one has lying around. For me, this is one of those sci-fi things. A fantasy-style base does rocks, stones, roots, and, well, any skull-related debris quite well. But for this project, the mechanical-looking debris, it's just more of a challenge to go outside and find that stuff out in the forest. Anyway, these molds are kind of cool and hopefully will serve me well on other terrain projects. If you do use UV resin, make sure to keep it off your hands and cure it in a well-ventilated area, otherwise you might end up looking like Jabba the Hutt, or more boringly end up with plastic allergy without the slightest hint of Jabba. I'm using the piping on the, quote, non-elevated, unquote, areas. Must be where the spaceship fuel and space pirate rum is pipelined. Just head in the direction of pipes and either you find a port or a bar, or maybe they're the same. Anyway, I've also got some of the other non-pipe bits, using them to create some interesting variations and point of interest. All this stuff can go on top of the putty as well, of course. Any hint of height change is fun. The added depth makes bases come alive. I also want some type of electrical wiring going, using a 1mm metal wire, fitting it into some of the grooves in the pattern. Electricity obviously needed to keep the lights going in the space pub. Overall, I'm just trying to do different things to different bases. Most get piping, some get extra debris, some get wires. I found some hexagon mesh that I just placed randomly, more random debris, anything to create some excitement and individuality. Once all the space debris glue is dried, I apply a texture paste on any remaining original black base surface. This one, called medium from Soilworks, not to be confused with a medium, as in matte medium or retarder medium. It's a generic medium texture. There is also a fine and a rough, I believe. Although I can confuse you more by saying you can use this as a texture medium, just like add sand and yeah. I'll be honest and say this was just lying around. I like it because it's not sand-based. More just looks like an unidentifiable surface once dry. Very suitable for a spaceport, I believe. But, any texture would work. For the last step, I want a bit of dust going. Everything is still a bit too clean, so I'm going for the famous superglue and sodium bicarbonate, aka baking soda trick. This stuff is great not only to get a very fine-grained texture on bases, but can be used on pretty much anything you want to grime, like your living room floor right under the table where you're doing your hobbying. Essentially, one smears out superglue. I try to do this as thinly as possible. Drops and puddles will not look too good. Pouring on the sodium bicarbonate will make the superglue harden instantly, and the result is a fine-grained surface. I don't only use this to create a dirty dust feel, but also to cover any mistakes and missed pieces of black base still visible. And that's it. What I tried to achieve, apart from the spaceport concept, is a relatively efficient way of making individual and fun bases. I've explained the process quite in detail, but in a more assembly line setup, I've churned out, 20 of these bases with ease. In the end, for you, I'm mainly hoping these bases can be a source of inspiration. Using a rolling pin doesn't mean one has to stop right after the roll. And thinking through whatever concept one is pursuing often makes the next steps happen almost intuitively. And don't forget to clean your rolling pin.